Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am P.H.A.J. Today we're going to be doing something very exciting and different, as you've seen in the title, which is a upcycling of something that I have in my closet. So these are my mom's old denim capri stretchy pants that she doesn't like. She's going to throw them away, and I was like, nope, don't do it because I can use it. So we are going to be transforming these capris that are not my style into something so cute, and this is my first DIY project, so I hope you guys enjoy, and let's just get straight into the video. So in today's video, you're going to need a fabric of your choice. Like I said, I'm using this denim stretchy fabric, but you can use whatever you like to use. Yeah, anything honestly could work, but this is what I had on hand to upcycle, so that's what I'm using. You're gonna need a seam ripper, and even if you don't have something that you need to rip the seam of, if you make any mistakes, this is gonna be your best friend. Trust me, I know. Then you're gonna need a marker or a pencil or a fabric color pencil, whichever one you have, and some fabric scissors. Highly recommend fabric scissors just to make your life easier. You're gonna need a ruler and a tape measure. You can have one or the other or both. I have both, so yeah, it's all up to you and your preference. And then you're going to need your pins, and I notice you can't even see these pins, but they're gonna magically pop up closer so you guys can see. And I also recommend having a magnet nearby when you're doing any type of project like this to just pick up your pins along the way. Then you're gonna need something to trace. I have this bralette, but I really wasn't intending to have all my boobs out like that, but that's what ended up happening. So if you like something with more full coverage, make sure you have a shirt or a bra that has more full coverage, or even just measure your chest area to see the correct size of a triangle you'll need. Okay, so to start off, I'm using my seam ripper to take off my pockets because we don't need them for this upcycling. So just save them, put them to the side with the rest of your fabric because you never know when you may need them. We're going to begin by starting with our pants inside out, and once you flatten out your fabric however you need, whatever you're using to trace, figure out how you want them to be laid out. I started with it horizontally, tried it twice, didn't work out. Vertically was the best for me, so I'm going to trace this, and I am allowing myself about 1.5 inches of seam allowance. This is stretchy material, but you still need to have a proper good amount of seam allowance, and honestly I could have used some more, as you will see in the end of the video. So we're going to use this as our chest section. So you're going to have 4 in total. You're going to cut this bottom section out, and then we're going to move on to the top section. So in the end, you should have 4 triangles. So now that we have our 4 triangles, I'm going to separate them into 2, and we're going to make sure that the right sides of the fabric are kissing each other, or you can say the outside of the fabric is kissing each other. And then for the insides, I'm just going to mark just anything indicating that that is the inside, so when you're sewing you don't make any mistakes if you have fabric that looks the same on both sides. After that, we're going to start pinning down where we're going to sew, and as you guys can see, I'm going to show you guys closer the line that you're going to follow, just the outside of the triangle, and you're going to leave the bottom half open. As I said earlier, this is a stretchy denim fabric, so I'm going to be using my zigzag stitch. Along with that, at the end of your fabric, make sure that you are back stitching, as you will see me doing, to make sure that your piece is secure. when I'm sewing, I notice that I'm kind of moving the fabric when I really don't have to. It's gonna guide itself. But you know, that's just me being personal, doing too much that I don't need to be doing. This was the first one that I did. And I don't know how we ended up all the way over here. Can't tell you how, but it happened. So you can, if you want to, remove the seam and just do it over. What I did with my second one is I just put it on top of each other, and these pink lines are indicating how much I went in here on this one so that they can be identical. So originally I thought that I should seam rip the waistband off these pants, but you really do not need to do that. All you have to do is cut off the waistband and it'll make your life so much easier, trust me. So after this, I am starting to make the pieces that I'm going to use for my ruffles, and I didn't optimize the amount of fabric that I could have used, and I don't know what I was doing. I was not working as smart as I could. But anyway, I measured 3-inch pieces to use for my ruffles. So I'm just going to measure them down on the front and the back of the pants and cut them out, and then we're going to move on to the ruffles. So now that I'm done cutting off my strips, I'm going to cut off the seam of each individual strip to make sure that it doesn't mess up the flow of my ruffles. And I'm gonna pin them all together so it just makes it easier when moving to the sewing machine. And this is basically how I'm doing it. I'm pinning about like 1 centimeter away from the end. You're gonna sew against this line, and when you flip it over, it'll look seamless and put together like that. On my sewing machine, I am again using my zigzag stitch. When you're done sewing all those together, you're going to move to the end of the fabric and you're going to fold it over like this, and then we're going to use our zigzag stitch again to sew it down, just to make sure that there's no frayed edges and to make it look a bit more professional. And we're going to do the same thing on the other end of the fabric. So now we're going to move on to the actual ruffle making. So make sure your sewing machine is switched to the longest length and you are switching to a straight stitch. During this time, you're going to just go all the way through with your straight stitch. I went about 1 centimeter down on the fabric, and do not backstitch at all during this whole entire time, because in the end, you'll see we're going to be pulling our thread to create our ruffles, and any backstitching will not make this process go well. So here you can see the stitch that I just made with the straight stitch. So we're going to flip this fabric over, and what we're basically going to be doing is pulling or tugging this back thread, the back or the bottom thread, whatever you like to call it, to create your ruffle. You're just going to be pulling, pushing until you create your desired length and your desired amount of ruffle. This is my end with my thread right here, and this is the middle of the fabric. So what we're doing is just moving down this fabric. Now we're on the back side. Make sure you're only pulling this thread from the back piece. Just wanted to add to make sure that you guys are just slightly tugging on the fabric. Don't pull the fabric because you can pop the thread. And as you can see, the hand that is holding the thread is barely moving, but the thread will still become longer. That's how you know you're doing it right. So now that we're done with our ruffles and they look so good, especially because it's my first time, we're going to pin them to the divider section, which is the waistband that we had. And initially I was pinning it and I was just going to pin it in a circle, but then I just decided to cut my waistband and have it as one long strip and then pin the ruffles on and then just sew it back together in the end. I hope that made sense. I lost the clip of me doing that, but that's basically what I'm doing. This section did give me a little bit of trouble. I think it was because the material on the waistband was so thick, but make sure you're using your zigzag stitch and make sure that the top of your ruffle is high enough on the waistband so that when you put the shirt on, it doesn't slip out and cause there to be a hole in your shirt. And when you get to the end of the fabric, be sure to backstitch to make sure that your piece stays together and secure. And now that we're done with that part, we're almost done. Here are our ruffles and everything is together. So what I will say is that I did not want this much cleavage to be out. Like, I was not expecting that. I don't know if my chest grew overnight. I really don't know. But I measured about 3 inches apart for these triangles, and I should have, like I told you guys, ripped the seam and just made it closer to the end to make this bigger. But anyway, we're gonna sew these triangles down to the top of our waistband, and then we're gonna sew the back together as you just saw. And for the neck piece, I'm just making sure, I'm just kind of folding it. It's kind of weird, but just make sure that the end pieces are on the inside, like folded in, so there's no fraying, and it just makes it look pretty seamless. So I just sewed that with my zigzag stitch, and at the end of them I'm just kind of cutting like a triangle piece to just make it hide behind the top of the bra. And I am also sewing like in a triangle. I'm sewing down the 2 sides. As you can see here, I'm sewing down the 2 sides and across the middle. So after I sewed on the neck piece, we are finally done. I'm very happy with the end result. I am cutting off some of the ruffles here because they are kind of uneven, but for this to be my first project, I'm very proud of myself. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.